Alright, this is actually take two to the beginning of this video. Today is January 19th, 2019. Today's video is a woodworking video, not a Dave Ramsey rant or look at me go see Dave Ramsey. Totally different. So for the few people that watch this channel for woodworking, bam, today we're actually going to do some real woodworking and not talking about money or finances. So not going to do a wood lathe video. That's not what we're going to do today. I'm still waiting for the adapter for my sharpener to show up so we can do that. But what we're going to do is use resin. We're going to use mica powder to color said resin. Beer bottle caps, by the way, have the Dos Equis on board. And this pile of wood right here. And what I plan on making is like a wall hanger for my barbecue utensils that I'm hanging outside. So I'm going to take that pile of wood, make a little like decorative piece using resin and lining it with bottle caps. This will be the first time I've ever worked with resin, but I've seen some pretty cool shit on the internet using resin and woodworking all combined together. So what I want to do ideally is make like a wall hanger type of device that will just look cool. And this is the first time I'm going to use resin, so I've got some new tools. I've got a sander and a bandsaw that we really haven't gotten to use on a project. So we're going to use all of that and see what we come up with. It's not going to be that impressive. It's not going to be very big, but got to start somewhere. So we'll do it on a smaller scale so we can work it up to a larger scale. So let's get started. Okay, so far so good. You can see I've made some like edging out of it. It's not going to be, sorry, the camera's done fucking me up. It's not going to be exactly perfect. So it's about 15 inches in length here, but what essentially I'm going to do is pour the resin in between here. It'll be like a little reservoir here, and then I'm going to pour the resin and then line it with the bottle caps here. So what we have to do next is get the frame set up, and we'll be doing that next. So stay tuned. I don't know what the hell just happened, but anyway, so we have to set up the table. So we're going to use this piece of wood here. These are going to be the portions that we frame our device in, and then we have to take, this is sure tape, or yeah, sure tape. This is what the YouTube told me I need to use to pour adhesive on it, because what is going to happen is I'm going to pour the adhesive on it, but I need to be able to pull the resin off of it fairly easy. So they say use sure tape. There's another name for this. I can't remember it right now. So we'll get that lined up, everything cleaned up, get all the pieces cut the way we want the box, set that up, and then I'll show you what that looks like here in a bit. Okay, builder update. So I have coated this portion where I want to do the actual resin casting. I've taken every bit of the frame and have taped it, and as you can see here, this is pretty much how it's going to fit. So I'm going to take my power drill and build the frame up, and then once that's all settled, we'll have to get to the boring part of sanding down our pieces. Once that's all complete, then we'll get to the fun part, which is pouring the resin. So let me find my remote, and then we'll get started on that. so sanding got interrupted. Some friends came over and dropped off some tables. So, hey, sanding's boring anyway, so nobody wants to watch that bullshit. But it is done. I sanded all the way up to 220 grit on my sanding. You can see here, I've already kind of made things ready to go. I have to use silicone around the edges because when we do this, I don't want the epoxy resin to leak out. So the frame is built, and I'm just gonna line it as I see fit, probably a few here, and the frame is built. I got some grips on each side here, so it'll stay down the way I want it to. So I'm going to silicone the edges. That will be the next step, and then once the silicone is set, it'll take a little bit. Then we will get to the fun part of pouring the resin. All right, so let me do that. It's a boring process. You just do the edges. I'll show you when it's done and cured, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the silicone molding is now in place. So we did that all the way around. I got the grips on it. I have some weights here. They're going to help me out. Take a couple hours for that to mold and set. What I decided to do as well is I noticed that the boards in here might have been a little too thick. So what I did was I cut them in half because I don't have a lot of resin. This is the first time I've ever used resin, so I don't know how much this is going to take. So I don't want to waste it per se because I'm pretty sure I'm going to fuck this up. But I don't want to just overdo it. This is just a basic kind of build today, even though I'm 2 hours in it and this is as far as I've gotten. These things obviously take time, but you can see from the workbench, beers and sanders. I'm gonna have to resand those, by the way. I won't bore you with that part, but we're kind of done with the frame part. So next step will be to clean up all of this junk. This is what's left from the wood. Those PVC pipes or parts. That's for a different project. We're working on that one as well. But we're going to do this one first. I'm going to clean up the workbench, let that cure, and then we'll pour the resin. Okay, so it is time to pour the resin. I gave the silicone a little bit of time to set up. It's hard enough to where I can go ahead and pour the resin and not have to worry about it. But the key is I'm going to have to pour a base coat, like initially onto the surface. Then I will put the 2 pieces down, and then I'll go ahead and take the bottle caps and put them in because I need a base coat so it'll attach, and then I can come back with that second layer after the first layer is cured, and then put everything in there to where I don't have to worry about it rising up. So I'm gonna mix that initial layer with some forest green and some cherry red, since we're using Dos Equis bottle caps as the eyepiece of it. So we can kind of keep one giant theme. Most people will see the front. I don't intend people to see the back, but I just want to make a good piece and just kind of experiment with it. So in theory, I could have used just regular silicone to just, point everything down, but it's good to get a good base coat. So we'll do that. I'll pour the resin, mix it up. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So I'll go ahead and start that, and then the pour. Alright, so I think I pretty much fucked up. The resin, it's set, but I used too damn much. And the good news is it's not leaking out of the sides of the frame. but I definitely used too much resin for the base coat. I used about 100 milliliters, which is about... Yeah, I used about 4 ounces, which is too damn much. I could have used way less than that. All I wanted to do was get the initial, like, surface attached. So I'm just going to stay and pop the small little bubbles that are probably going to appear. I'm going to have to sand this down and probably use a lot more resin than I initially wanted to, but that's why we experiment. Obviously, the first go around in anything you do doesn't work out the way you want it to, at least not with me. So going to just continue to baby this and then come pour the second layer, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so it's 5 hours later, and now I am getting ready to pour the second coat of resin. You can see it's pretty much hardened up a little bit. So I'm going to put the second coat on this. It's been 5 hours since this coat was pressed or laid. So I'm going to mix the second coat. I think I'm going to do a light green color. So you'll have the cool red background and then the green kind of tint to it. Hopefully by the morning it'll have cured all the way. We can sand it and get the project done. So let's get that second pour going. Alright, so I think I fucked up again, obviously. So I poured the resin, and I'm getting a real weird looking texture. Like, the smoke's become so bad I've had to open up the garage door. But you can kind of see, I can't even pop the bubbles now. I think what happened is that, you know, they give you directions for a reason. It's supposed to say don't do this unless it's like 70 degrees or warmer. It's the winter time. It's January in Lubbock, Texas. It's freezing cold in West Texas, so I'm gonna get a lot of bubbles on this one. But I mean, I can't even pop them out anymore. They're so copious. So I'm gonna have to sand it down real good. Hopefully, it doesn't look too bad. I imagine it's gonna be just I mean, that's what it looks like now. It's gonna look like even more shit when I'm done with it. So I'm gonna let that cure. It's around 10 o'clock at night. It says 24-hour cure, but we're gonna see where we're at in the morning. Hopefully it doesn't look like too bad. But that's the second pour, and that's how we learn, I guess. So I'll see you guys when it's done. Alright, today is January 20th, 2019, day 2 of the project. So I have let this set up for the bottom part about 24 hours, and then the top layer it's cured for, put it in at 10, it's now 15, 14 hours, some shit like that. I was horrible at math, I went to a public school, but you can see the bubbles that won't come out, and it's hard. So now I'm going to take it out of the mold, and I'm going to sand it down. Hopefully it doesn't look like shit. I'm sure it will. So we'll take it out of the mold, see what we got, and then we'll kind of go from there. so we took it out of the mold. This is what we got. It doesn't look too bad how it is. The back has got a bunch of sticky shit on it. I cleaned it up with some 91% alcohol. So we're going to sand it now and see what kind of finish we are going to get. I cleaned up all the goo shit that's all over the table, so I re-taped everything, so hopefully it won't be that bad. So we'll sand it down. I'm going to start with the back and then kind of go from there. And then we'll see what we get. Hopefully it doesn't look too fucked up. Okay, so the project did not go well. This is the end result here. You can see the bubbles, you can see the cracks, you can see all the imperfections that are in this. The concept works. This is the back. And in theory, this would have worked. Everything always works in theory. However, realizing a couple of things now, I should have let the resin dry for the full 72 hours. Even though it was hard, when I started sanding it, then it started to get all these bubbles really coming up. And it looks like garbage. I even lost the hooks that I wanted to put into this thing. So, absolute disaster. Still gonna keep it. But the concept works. The execution was just poor. So we'll try this again at another time. I even bought wax to help remove it from the casting that I didn't even get to use because I then forgot about it. Next time I'll probably do it indoors or do it when it's like warmer. But that did not go well. No, it does not. But I'm still going to hang it. I'm thinking maybe once it dries, then I can come back. I might do a redo of this and try to polish it up once all this, the epoxy actually settles. But there's no point in, showing you any more wet. But hey, that's what happened first time go around. But hey, it was a disaster. The only way to go from here is up. So thanks for watching the video. Subscribe maybe, and I'll see you in the next disaster video.